From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
A 1 in a million wildlife sighting.
I don't think anyone has ever seen anywhere near that number.
Plus wagon wheels winning on the World Wide Web.
I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
And you have the chance to win a brand new Billings home. We'll tell you how. And good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Monday, October 10th. We're so glad that you were watching with us. We start this morning with this: an Alaska hunter's trip to Montana ruined by thieves. This hunter bagged a giant elk, but it was stolen right out of his pickup truck, along with thousands in hunting gear. Q2's Haley Monaco brings us the story from here.
I'm standing in the parking lot where one hunter lost weeks of work and thousands of dollars in gear, stolen out of the back of a truck in the early morning hours Saturday.
Came down just for an archery elk hunt, and I ended up getting one. I was pretty happy.
Bringing home an elk like this may be many hunters' dreams come true, but for Adam Grenda, it now feels like a bad dream.
Woke up and it was like your worst nightmare. The elk rock was gone.
Grenda lives in Alaska now, but is originally from Idaho and spent many years growing up hunting in Montana. He is now an experienced hunter and just wrapped up a 2-week trip in central Montana, where he bagged a bull elk that would have been crown jewel in his collection of mounts.
I've shot a lot of stuff. I shot a huge Boone and Crockett moose this year, Boone and Crockett bighorn sheep, which is like most people's pinnacle, but this elk was probably my most prized trophy.
And now he's on the hunt, again, for his elk rack, an estimated $5,000 worth of stolen gear after it was taken from his brother-in-law's truck sometime between 3 to 5 a.m. Saturday. His brother-in-law was driving the bull back to Idaho and parted from the hunting group early, stopping at the Come On In for a couple hours of rest.
It crossed my mind, but I'm like, you don't need to bring an elk rack inside. It's like 90 pounds with a cape, and you're not going to take it through an elevator and upstairs into a motel room for 3-4 hours. Hindsight, probably should have done that.
A police report has been filed, and Grenda is hopeful people will keep a lookout for his Akuyu duffel bag full of a majority of his hunting gear, with his name and phone number on it, and the elk rack.
You know, you can eat the elk and you can have elk meat, and my kids are all going to enjoy it and everything like that. But at the end, that meat's going to be gone, and I want the memory on the wall. I can't believe a coward would take that.
Grenda was on his way back to Alaska Sunday. Although mostly empty-handed, he is grateful to get back to his wife and 6 kids and that everyone stayed safe on this hunting trip.
We're happy. We're healthy. At the end of the day, you can replace stuff.
In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Okay, and here is Ed McIntosh. I guess we'll give Miller the day off, let him have the day off for once.
Yeah, not that we really have a choice at this point in the morning, but yeah. So I hope he's sleeping well. He's celebrating his 50th birthday this weekend.
Right.
A lot of fun.
I know, good for him. I can't believe that he's so young at heart that he keeps joking that he's like, what, 21? 3 times 21? I don't even know. He says something like that. It's pretty funny, but.
Yeah, but it kind of fits with him.
It kind of fits with him, yeah. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, let's take a look with the Stockman Bank weather cam here as we get started this morning. As temperatures are going to be very mild today, we'll bring in some showers for tomorrow morning and a cooler day. Wind sticks around a bit depending on where you are by later in the week. We'll show you that in a little bit. But today the day planner is really comfortable. By the time we get in the afternoon, I actually feel warm. Temperatures in the mid-70s, sunshine with a light wind. Overall, a pretty pleasant day. Break down the rest of the forecast in just a little while.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a bad day at all. I'm looking forward to that.
We got a lot of good days ahead of us. There just depends on what your idea of a good day is.
You might like not 75 and sunny.
That's right. A little cooler. We got that for you too.
Yeah, all right. Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Ed.
Thanks.
All right, breaking overnight, several large explosions heard right in the center of Ukraine's capital, Kyiv. Russia is ramping up attacks following a massive explosion that destroyed part of the only bridge that connects Crimea to Russia. CBS's Bradley Blackburn brings us the latest on the war.
The new week began with reports of new missile attacks on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, and across parts of the war-torn nation. Over the weekend, shelling in the city of Zaporizhia left more than a dozen people dead and many others injured. Ukraine's president renewed his call to designate Russia a terrorist state. Terrorism is a crime that must be punished, Vladimir Zelensky said in his nightly video address. In the aftermath of the weekend attack, this resident of a building damaged by the blast in southeastern Ukraine asked why it was targeted saying the area has no military factories. The deadly shelling followed a Saturday blast that damaged the Kerch Bridge, which is strategically and symbolically important for Russia. The bridge connects Russia to Crimea, illegally annexed by Russia after its 2014 invasion. Russian President Vladimir Putin called the incident a terrorist act, saying it was masterminded by Ukrainian special services. Putin's anger over the attack and concerns about how he'll respond follow President Biden's off-camera comments last week about the Russian president's threat to use nuclear weapons. The president said the possibility of nuclear Armageddon is at the highest level since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis.
I think Joe Biden is right to just, get this country ready for the fact that you are dealing with an incredibly dangerous human being in Russia. The war's going badly, and you just can't predict what he's going to do next.
The White House said Friday that the U.S. has seen no indications of an imminent Russian nuclear attack. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
And no one is claiming responsibility for that bridge attack. We are entering the fourth week of protests in Iran over the death of a woman in police custody who died. Well, over the weekend, female college students in Tehran screamed "Get lost" to Iran's president as he visited their campus, and hackers interrupted state-run TV with the message, "Join us and stand up." Iran's regime continues to respond with force, and the group Human Rights Watch has documented the deaths of dozens of protesters. Happening today, Harvey Weinstein will be in trial in Los Angeles facing new sexual assault allegations. The 70-year-old former movie mogul is facing charges of rape, other charges including involving 5 women. Weinstein is already serving a 23-year sentence for rape and sexual assault in New York. We do have some amazing Wolverine pictures for you this morning. A wildlife guide in the Wyoming backcountry captured something most will never see in a lifetime. Q2's Alina Howder shows us.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime sighting that one Montana man was lucky enough to see. Doug McCartney saw not 1, not 2, but a pack of about 12 Wolverines while hiking in the Teton Wilderness.
With over 30 years of past experience with the Yellowstone Park Service and now a guide with Yellowstone Insight, Doug McCartney has seen some wildlife.
That beats out seeing somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 bears in a day up at McNeil River.
But it's a rare Wolverine sighting captured in these photos that McCartney counts as a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
I don't think I've ever seen anything that really even comes close.
It all happened as McCartney and 2 colleagues were exploring the beautiful Teton Wilderness back in August.
We spotted a grizzly sow with 2 or 3 cubs.
They were just about to leave the area when McCartney's colleague noticed the bears starting to run.
When I looked back and noticed the first of the Wolverines, it was up on a fairly good sized boulder and it leapt off. And then I noticed another Wolverine and another Wolverine.
The trio of hikers couldn't believe their eyes as they counted up to a dozen Wolverines, especially since these animals don't usually congregate.
I don't think anyone has ever seen anywhere near that number.
And the disbelief was warranted as McCartney's sighting was confirmed by at least 3 Wolverine researchers.
3 of the Wolverine researchers that I've shown the photos to have all agreed that, yeah, they're Wolverines.
And the wildlife sightings didn't stop, even as they were about to leave.
We saw another sow with 2 yearling cubs cross and go up the same snowfield that the other bears and the Wolverines had gone up.
McCartney theorizes that there could have been an animal carcass in the area that attracted the pack of Wolverines.
There was something there that drew not just the Wolverines, but that would be a total of 7 bears.
He kept the experience private until recently, not wanting to bring in a barrage of hikers to the area, possibly endangering the animals. But it was a story that had to be shared.
It would probably help Wolverines more than it would risk harming them to raise awareness.
In Billings, Alina Howder, MTN News.
Pretty amazing. Thanks, Alina. A Joliet man is working to restore pieces of history while building a worldwide audience with the help of YouTube. Q2's Kelsey Marison brings us his story.
This may look like something from the 1800s, and that's because it is. Engel's Coach Shop in Joliet is taking a ride back in time, restoring horse-drawn carriages and wagons, bringing history back to life.
I can't imagine myself doing anything else. because of the variety of things that I get to do.
Horse-drawn carriages and wagons might be a thing of the past, but Dave Engel is working to bring them back to life. It's not something you see every day, restorations on pieces of history, but Engel has been doing it for 44 years in his Joliet shop.
You know, everything in life goes through its seasons. There have been seasons that has been very romantic, very nostalgic. Woodworking, blacksmithing, painting, upholstery, that helps keep my mind engaged.
In a state where much of our history comes from ranching, wagons that previously were used for ranching operations oftentimes sit forgotten. And that was the exact case for a chuck wagon from the 1800s, owned by Phil Johnson and his family.
We pulled it out of the backyard and we took it to Joliet to Dave Engel to be restored.
In 2017, Johnson and his family dropped off the remnants of a wagon that has been in their family since the 1800s. Johnson even has a photo of the wagon his grandmother, Jessamine Spear, captured in the late 1800s. But the wagon had been sitting in a field for years before the restoration.
It was totally rotted in terms of the wood, not salvageable.
But Dave Engel was able to completely restore the family's wagon.
Grandkids, great-grandkids, cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody's excited.
Engel started documenting his projects back in 2017 and created a YouTube channel to post the projects to. With a goal of showing viewers the ins and outs of these restorations, Dave Engel has formed quite the following. He now has over 180,000 subscribers, some of whom have traveled far and wide just to meet him.
It has been an absolute joy just to see the machinery that I've watched him operate for so long.
Howard Shively drove from Michigan after watching his YouTube videos for the past 5 years. Diane Engel also says they've had people travel from overseas to visit. One couple came from Australia and another from France. But these restorations can be challenging, even for a seasoned wheelwright.
But that's the challenge that keeps me motivated.
That's what he likes, is a challenge.
And there are plenty of challenges for Dave to tackle, keeping him busy, bringing history back to life. In Joliet, Kelsey Marison, MTN News.
And it is time to meet this month's awaiting child. Q2's Casey Conlon introduces us to Adriana, a 13-year-old who loves art.
This month we're in Billings to meet Adriana. She likes to draw, loves cats, and is hoping for a family who enjoys spending time together.
I would like to be part of the family because I never really had that as a kid, and I'd like to know what that feels like.
With Adriana's passion for art and experiencing new things, she'd love to be part of a family who likes to travel.
She's smart and artistic, sociable. She's a great kid. And when she does love, she loves hard. Like, she really does still love her birth family, things like that.
You just see like these other kids having like such a nice family, and you get to do so much things.
More than anything, Adriana is hoping to find a loving, forever family.
Like every other kid regardless wants to belong with a family. They want someone that's going to love them unconditionally. If they have, if they act out or something like that, they want to know that that person's still going to be with them, that they're just not going to abandon them.
I just want to stay in one place and know that I'm loved, all that kind of jazz.
In Billings, Casey Conlon, MTN News.
And to learn more about Adriana and other children awaiting adoption, you can visit ktvq.com and search awaiting child.